Hi guys, we are in week 9. So last week you were supposed to read Act 2 of The Crucible. It was a little bit shorter than Act 1, so that was nice for you. At the beginning, we see some tension between John Proctor and Elizabeth because he's had that affair, right? And she is struggling to forgive him for it. So there's a little bit of tension there. We also see in Act 2 lots of people being accused of witchcraft. Abigail can basically say whosever name she wants, and they get accused of witchcraft. So it's just like becoming crazy. People are being accused left and right, and for no real reason with evidence attached to it. So we see that Mary, who is Elizabeth and Proctor's servant girl, it was also at the trial. She comes home and she brings Elizabeth that doll, right? And that doll later implicated Elizabeth because Hale sees this doll after asking her if she has dolls, and she's like, no, but she was just given that doll by Mary, which kind of set her up to be accused because the doll has a pin in it. And so then there's this whole thing, and Mary has to say, no, I gave it to Elizabeth, and Proctor wants her to testify, and she's like, no, I don't want to testify because then Abigail will kill me. And so there's all this drama surrounding this, and all this fear that people are going to get accused or be killed or have something on their reputation stained because of what's going on. So there's a lot more evidence with the whole reputations of people, how Christian people are. You have to account for how Christian you are. Remember, Hale comes and he questions Proctor because Proctor hasn't been at church, and oh my gosh, that doesn't look good. You haven't been at church enough. And then he asks him to recite the 10 Commandments. This is actually one of my, I guess I'd say, favorite or most intriguing scenes in the play, one that I really like because he leaves out adultery, right? Ironic that he leaves out adultery because he is an adulterer. He's cheated on Elizabeth. So again, a lot of concern in the Puritan world on how Christian you look, what your reputation is, and that sort of thing. So you saw all that in Act 2. You're going to read Act 3 now. So right at the beginning, I know in the past couple weeks you've done a couple assignments before reading. You can read Act 3 right off the bat this week. And as you read Act 3, you will see in Springboard Activity 2.12, you don't have to do the whole thing, but do the 4 questions I have in the announcements and assignments. Think about a courtroom. So what constitutes evidence when you're on trial? What role do eyewitnesses or testimonies or confessions play when you're on trial? So think about a real world trial when you answer these questions. After you read Act 3, so you'll need to read Act 3, tell me what type of evidence was used to accuse these people of witchcraft. Because the evidence wasn't that substantial, right? It was a lot of hearsay and stuff like that. Number 3, what's the role of a confession and an accusation in trials, in courtrooms? And then what is the consequence of Giles Corey's testimony in the courtroom? So be thinking about those as you read Act 3 and answer those 4 questions. All right. After you do that, you're going to practice writing your own script. Remember, you guys, for your embedded assessment, are going to have to pick a topic and write your own script. So here's a little practice. This script only has to be 3/4 of a page to a page long. And there are 3 different scenarios that you can choose from. So you're going to pick one of those scenarios. I've written them out here, but they're each a paragraph long, so I'm not going to go over them now. But read through scenario A, scenario B, scenario C, and pick one. You don't have to do all 3, just pick one and turn it into a script. So turn it into about a page-long script where you've got characters, their lines, stage direction, so how they would be saying that, how they would be moving throughout the stage, and write a script. Use this as a practice. This is a good practice for your embedded assessment. Next, activity 2.13, you are going to look at irony. So there's a couple different types of irony. I've got them listed here. There's dramatic irony. That's when the audience, the people reading or viewing a play, know more than a character inside the play. All right? Then there's situational irony. That's when the opposite of what you would expect to happen happens. And then lastly, there's verbal irony. That's when a speaker or a character says something but it's the opposite of what they're actually feeling or what their emotions are. So it's contradictory to their emotions. So think about Act 3, which you have read, and think about Proctor and Elizabeth, all right? So as you read, tell me what secret Proctor has and fill out that graphic organizer. Tell me what choice he makes and fill out that graphic organizer. Then you're going to do the same thing for Elizabeth. So you've got Proctor's column and Elizabeth's column there in the graphic organizer. Fill those out for the secret they have, the choice they make, the quote that represents that choice. So you're going to have to find the line from the text, the reason they made that choice, a quote that supports that reason, and so on. All right? And in that little exchange, this is when they're in the courtroom. So during that exchange, I want you to find examples of verbal irony, situational irony, and dramatic irony, and write those there in the underneath the graphic organizer, okay? After you do that, you're going to do a writing prompt, just a paragraph on irony. So you're going to tell me how irony plays a role in Miller's play. So you could even use that situation with Proctor and Elizabeth when they're, I don't want to tell you because I don't know if you've read the play yet. So when Proctor and Elizabeth are in the courtroom and they're like testifying, that's a big ironic scene. There's a lot of irony that happens during Proctor's testimony and Elizabeth's testimony. So during that scene, you're going to tell me how irony played a role there. So you're going to have at least 7 sentences, all right? A topic sentence telling me how irony plays a role. How does it contribute to like the how Christian Puritans have to look, how reputations have to be. That could be your topic sentence. Then you're going to have a quote from the text or a line of dialogue from a character that shows the irony, and then commentary on why that is ironic and what bigger role that plays in the story with Puritan beliefs or reputation or Christianity, and the obsession with Christianity that they have. So make sure you use those key words, like when you say such and such quote reveals this, or such and such quote indicates this, or such and such quote shows or symbolizes. Those words are good leading into your commentary so you can analyze that quote. Those are just helpful words to help you transition into from your text detail, from your line of dialogue into your commentary. So I've listed those words in the writing assignment under writing prompts, so you've got a list there you can pull from, all right? So 7 to 9 sentences on that paragraph where you're talking about irony in the play. But specifically look at that scene with Elizabeth and Proctor testifying. All right, Springboard Activity 2.14. So pull that up. You're going to do a quick Google search on McCarthyism. That might be a word you've heard of before, but maybe you're like, what is McCarthyism? I don't know. Do a little Google search so you can do just a little bit of research on your own and write down 3 things you learned about McCarthyism, because you're going to need to know a little bit about McCarthyism because you're going to read Why I Wrote the Crucible by Arthur Miller. So Arthur Miller told us why he wrote it. Read that. It's in your Springboard Activity 2.14, and there's a graphic organizer there where you're going to tell me what Miller's feelings are about McCarthyism. Then you're going to tell me what Hollywood and society's response to McCarthyism was. You're going to tell me why Miller was fascinated with the witch trials, what his connection between witchcraft and communism is, and what was the critical and public reaction to his play, The Crucible. And then what is the lasting legacy of The Crucible? Why do we still read this play all these years later? All right. So have that graphic organizer up as you're reading Why I Wrote the Crucible. It'll help you answer those more quickly. So the Springboard Activity also has a writing assignment with this. You don't have to do that. Remember, always just do what I have on the announcements and assignments, because then you don't have to do as much, right? And as always, I'm here, so reach out to me. This week it's a little bit lighter, so you should be able to complete these assignments no problem. If you're getting behind, make sure you're reaching out to me and getting some help, all right? We don't want you to get behind. So take care. Be thinking about that embedded assessment that's coming up where you're going to have to write a play script, and I'll see you next week, all right? Take care.